When I first got here, it was all about just beat Wisconsin and you're good. And now it's okay, well, we won 11 games, won back-to-back 9-win seasons. We've won 6 bowl games in a row here. But the next step with the college football playoff, Big Ten championship, we're not gonna shy away from that. We're not afraid to talk about it. Minnesota needs cultural sustainability because to keep in-state talent, to get people to see the vision long-term, to get people to believe that you can go win a national title again, you can be in the college football playoff again, it takes that longevity and that proof.
What are the things that you have on your short list of what still needs to happen at this place in order to get to the pinnacle of college football? Coach Fleck, I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me out. I've been wanting to have you on for a long time, so I'm glad we could do this. I'm fascinated to talk to you just because of the success you've had here, the culture you built here, and I think you've been, at least from the outside looking in, one of the best in the country at building a culture that's sustained here through your tenure. And I want to ask about your year 9 now at Minnesota. When you look back at that time, what's the moment that you feel like defines your tenure the most here?
Wow, that's a tough question.
To start with, right?
First and foremost, just like when I first got here, I said the thing that Minnesota is going to need, whether it's me or another coach, is going to need cultural sustainability.
Yeah.
We had 7 head coaches in 15 years prior to us getting here. Our rivals are pretty secure with head coaches over the last 50 years, right? So that's something Minnesota really needed. We felt like we could bring that. I feel like going into year 9, we have done that. But, you know, for a fan base, for the alumni, for the state to really trust you, you need 3 things: time, consistency, and proof. The last part's the most important. You need proof. You got to win, right? And I think 2019, beating Penn State, sorry about that.
It's all good.
But thank you for that huge win. But that was a huge win for us here when we were both undefeated, both ranked. I think that kind of shot us into a different stratosphere that year. And that was a huge win for us that everybody knew what was happening from the outside. But I think one of the biggest wins was 2018 when we actually beat Wisconsin for the first time in 15 years. And that was, you know, the only thing people told me was just beat Wisconsin and you can have a lifetime contract. Still haven't had a lifetime contract, but we did beat Wisconsin, and it's back to being a great rivalry again. And I think those 2 stand out more than any right now.
I love it. Walking around here today in the facility, the thing that stuck out to me is the intentionality of everything. I mean, the walls in the program, the even just spending time just talk to Drake. And it seems like you have had a vision and a way that you've wanted to do every single thing in this program because you believe that everything matters. Where did that kind of system for how you're going to build the culture here come from? Where did it kind of just get created for you?
Yeah, great question. I taught 6th grade social studies right out of college. I have an elementary education degree. So think about it. I'm trained in teaching 36th graders, right? Ancient Rome 6 times a day and keeping them all interested and getting them to learn all different ways. And I think that's where that all comes from. I think learning is what we're doing, whether it's life, whether it's football, we're coaching, we're teaching, we're learning. We're the teachers, they're the students. Sometimes our students are teaching us things. But I think anytime a player looks around, they should see something that impacts them and that they could use for their future, whether they're husbands, fathers, players, students. They should be able to take what's around the program and apply it to their life. So I think that comes from my elementary education background, and I'm big into all the senses, making sure all 5 senses are hit throughout the entire building all the time. You should be able to have to touch things and see things, smell certain things.
Smells good in here.
Smells really good. That's all by design. Don't worry. But I think that's really critical in learning because everybody learns differently. And great teachers find ways to be able to get every person to learn up to their capability.
And such a big part of that for you is also in the evaluation process, figuring out who are the players, the kids that will be good in this system, that fit that culture. What are the things, you know, when you walk into a recruit's living room, what's the thing that you're looking for right away to say he's going to be a good fit for our culture?
That's a great question. We don't even use the word recruit here. We use select and fit. Those are the things we really want. We want to find people who fit what we do and how we do it. It's not just what we do. Everybody does pretty similar things, right? I mean, when you run a college football program, but how you do it is so different. So we want players and students and people before we actually want the people before the player. So that's what we're looking for. We're valuing the person first, and then we're finding out what that person actually values. Do our values align? Is this going to be a great relationship? Is this going to fit? We can find 25 high school players from the West Coast to the East Coast, north to south, that fit what we do. And if you find the right fit, you can really create a team, because ultimately you're bringing very common people together. And again, they could be very different, but common in their views and their values and what they actually appreciate, if they're grateful, if they're empathetic, and you're bringing them all together to create this entire team. So we're looking for people who truly fit us. And I think that's easy to say, and it's hard to follow through with, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. We're looking for the whole person, academically, athletically, socially, and spiritually. And I think our staff does a really good job of identifying that.
We were talking before we got started about when you recruited me to Rutgers a long time ago, and then I was thinking on the way here. I was thinking on the way here about your time, even at Western Michigan. In what way do you feel like you've changed the most as a coach from then to now?
Oh, wow. I don't know if smarter is a great word, because I'm not saying that, but I think you've matured in your role. College football has changed a lot in 13 years. This is my 13th year being a head football coach. It's changed an awful lot, right? So I think you have to have the ability to adapt, but not change who you are. I think there's so many things that change in college football that it tests who you really are, and it tests your value system, and it tests if you really want to change wholesale. And we haven't done that. We've kept our life program the same. In fact, we've amplified our life program, and I think that's what's made us a little bit different in this new modern world. But we are truly a life program. So we've adapted, but we just haven't changed. I've learned a few things. I've learned control is for amateurs. That's a pretty big statement coming from a head football coach that's in charge of a lot of people's lives.
What do you mean by that, control is for amateurs?
It means, I think when I first started out, I had to control everything. You know, I had meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and it's almost micromanagement, right? You're a first-time head coach. I was 32 years old. I was the youngest head football coach in the country. And I think I really tried to control everything with every decision, had to wait for me to get something done. And we went 1-11. I mean, we were brutal. And I was like, I can't do this. And you're hiring great coaches. I think that's one of the great strengths of a head coach. Can you hire really well? I feel like we've done a really good job of that. And our coaches do a tremendous job of it. So the control piece is allowing our staff to be the best staff they can be, trust them in their roles, allow them to grow, and then it's okay if they leave. I want coaches who want to be head coaches, coordinators. I want them to be able to move up. So the control piece in that way is that I've learned that I can't control everything. And I think you have to go through that as a head coach. When I've had a really good football team full of really good people who are also really good players, we've won. When I've had players who maybe not so good, that maybe they weren't such good people, maybe we weren't connected as a team, we lost. And maybe we did certain things the same way, but it's a player's game. And so if I can look at how can I become a better head football coach, relinquish some of that control, and to all the people who do their jobs, trust them to do their jobs, I feel like we can elevate this program. And the last thing I think I've learned the most is this too shall pass. I actually tattooed it on my Achilles heel, because that was something that I had to learn as a young head coach. Was we always say this too shall pass when we're talking about the negative. Somebody says, don't worry, this will pass. And it's all negative. But what I had to learn was, I mean, our job is constant crisis, interrupted by brief success. And if you don't take that brief success and multiply it and celebrate it, that's going to pass too. And it's the disease of success. And if you don't stop and celebrate and put a cut to it and find out that it is worth it and celebrate that with your team, it's all going to run together and everybody's going to be miserable. So I've learned an awful lot, believe it or not, in 13 years. And we can spend another 5 hours on what I've learned.
I'm fascinated by it, but I'm glad you mentioned the piece about hiring coaches, because a big follower base or listeners of this podcast are young coaches, high school coaches, young coaches in college. What are the things you look for maybe in your program when you have a young GA or a young analyst or an assistant that makes you say, okay, that guy could be a position coach someday for us? Yeah,
it's all about the person. It's all about their how, their work ethic, their dedication. Don't tell me what you want, show me. This whole program has been built on how. right? The crack on your shoulder, the blue collar mentality, your unconquerable will. We call it the necktie mentality, always attacking, never full. And I'm looking for people like that. I was told a long time ago by a really good CEO that hire really good people and then train them what to do, right? And then you're going to have a really good culture. And we've done that. Our defensive coordinator, Danny Collins, is in his 13th year with me. He was a student coach. He was going to school when I was at Western Michigan as a head coach, and he was just helping out for free. He was sleeping in the janitor closet. Now, I didn't know that much at the time because you have a lot of these student coaches who think they want to be coaches, but he has coached every position on our defense. He's been a GA and quality control coach at 2 different places, Western Michigan, and then came here. And now he's a defensive coordinator in the Big Ten, and he's earned everything that he's gotten. I love coaches who have earned it. I love coaches who have had to do it a little bit of a different path, the harder way. And I love from elevating within. And I think there's too many people who see maybe what coaches make at the highest level and say, well, I just want to go there. Go to the coaches convention. Go walk around that coaches convention at the end of the year and see the thousands of football coaches,
jobs.
high school, college, pros, looking for jobs. And it humbles you. And I make sure I always remind our staff, I'm always reminded by that when I go to the convention, that this is a privilege to do what we do. It's not anybody's right to be a coach. And I think we have a staff they're all similar to Danny Collins' story, I think, which makes them appreciate what they do and give everything they have every day.
Yeah. One of the things I'm curious about is in this era of college football, there's a lot of business decisions you have to make about your roster. And that's changed really in the last few years where, you used to, it's a little bit more transactional. I know you're doing everything you can to not be that way. And I think you balance it really well. Players love playing for you. You're honest with them. Talking to Drake, again, like they love being around you. But how do you balance that where you got to do what's best for the program and say this is what's best for the team, but I also love this player and it may not make sense?
Transparency, lots of communication, lots of talks. I think that's really critical for a head coach and his football team, where I think that we're getting in a world where that's getting farther apart, where somebody else might be dealing with the players and making decisions about the players, and the head coach is just coaching. I love all of it. And I want to be involved in all those decisions with our GM and player personnel and the player. And I think that you can have transactional relationships. There's nothing wrong with that. Our college football world now is built with that involved in it. Nothing wrong with that. It's important, right? Players should be paid. They've earned that piece. But that doesn't mean you can't have this transformational program. So we have a transformational program, life program, academically, athletically, socially, spiritually. Every day, our players have become better men become better football players. But that doesn't mean there can't be transactions into that. So when you are selecting and finding the right fit, hence recruiting, you're asking people, what do you value? Like, what does your family value? And if money's one, I can't take them. Because at Minnesota, we're never going to be the highest bidder. So for me, I've got to find that balance as I recruit them with the parents that also see the value of the life program, that want their sons to be able to develop, because the education's critical, right? Giving somebody money and at 18 years old and giving them $500,000. I mean, we both would have loved that in college, right? But we probably also weren't ready for that. With all the responsibility that comes along with that and all the pitfalls that come along with that. So there has to be this life educational program around that transactional piece. And I think we have a great balance of that. I think our players are very honest with us. They're transparent with us. We have multiple talks about money through life programs, but also within the head coach's office. And I feel like they're comfortable talking about it. And I think that's where I think that sets us apart a little bit. They're comfortable talking about it to us. And we've had a lot of players. I mean, I think we have the 5th highest retention rate in the country amongst Power 4 schools. So that means, and we're not paying everybody top 5 highest, I promise. But I think that says a lot about the type of young people we have here. Again, not saying money's not important, not saying that, but we've got to find where it fits in the value system first before we take the next step with that young man.
How have you shifted your strategy with revenue sharing, NIL, portal? I mean, I guess revenue sharing is really the latest evolution of the chaos, you could call it. But how has it have you gone more to a professional personnel system, a general manager model? How have you kind of handled that? Real quick, guys, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor on this podcast, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to fire on sports. I've tried all the different apps, sports books, daily fantasy. Prize Picks is the way. On Prize Picks, you're picking players instead of teams. So if you know sports like I do, you can make a bunch of money, especially with the free $50 bonus. So code NEXTUP or the link in my description. All you gotta do is deposit $5. You get a free $50 in your account that you can use, go 10x, 100x, turn it into whatever you want. Code NEXTUP, $50 bonus, link in description. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about our culture and program is, my general manager, which that title was given to him, I'd say 8-9 years ago, before the GM is what it is right now, right? So it's a little confusing on our staff, but my general manager / chief of staff, he's been with me about 11 years. And we know each other inside and out, and we have a wonderful relationship, and he's one of my best friends, and I never make a decision without bringing it by him. But we've done that for so many years. My director of player personnel / New World GM has been with me 10 years. So when you look at the two most important people inside the personnel part of what we do, they've been with me an awful long time. We know what works, we know what doesn't work. We know what fits here, maybe what doesn't fit here. And so I think relying more on them has helped me find the right fits within our program. And when you trust those people to do their jobs, this goes back to the controls for amateurs, it takes a little bit more off the head coach's plate because we just keep dumping more and more on to the head coach, who's ultimately the number one person responsible for the entire organization. As of right now, that maybe could change with this new world. But I think that helps when you have the congruency and the camaraderie that we've had for so long.
Yeah. I was thinking about all the different hats you have to wear as a head coach. I mean, it keeps more and more, right? You're really ultimately the general manager of this program, the head coach and the GM. You're making all the decisions. You're doing the recruiting, the fundraising, all that stuff. What's the part of the job that gives you the most energy? What's the part you
Practice.
Yeah.
Practice.
Are you still wearing cleats at practice?
No, I put the cleats. I did. I know. Listen,
you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, that's all I need. To think that I can still do it is when coaches get Achilles injuries, they get knee injuries, and now all of a sudden you're in a boot and you look ridiculous. So when I hit 40, I gave that up. My wide receiver coach, fortunately, played for me at Northern Illinois. He's been with me 12 years. He does. So let the younger guys do all that. But it's being around the players. The great thing about our job, no matter how much transaction we get into in this new world, is they're still 18 to 22 years old. They're still kids. You put them at a water park in training camp, as you probably did at Penn State, and they're going berserk. Like, how did you guys have this much energy when at practice you didn't have that much energy? And all of a sudden we get to the water slides, they're still kids. Exactly. They're still kids, still young people. I get older and they all stay the same. In terms of 18 to 22 every year within this team meeting room. And it keeps you really young. The people is what I love about this profession. And it's what energizes you every day. People you get to work with, the players, being at practice, coaching ball, being around the guys, helping them develop. Because we all wanted to get in this at some point because of the word coach, right? But coach comes from the word stagecoach. Take important people from where they are, put them in a horse and buggy, and take them to where they want to be.
Interesting,
That's what I love to do. That's what I did in elementary school teaching in 6th grade. So that's still the funnest part of my job.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I noticed about this place over the last nine or so years is you've elevated the brand of Minnesota football, what it means to be here. Externally too, social media and what it feels like. What did the brand feel like when you got here? And what do you think it feels like now?
Yeah, and with all due respect, when you look back at our past, we've had 18 Big Ten championships. 7 national titles here at Minnesota. Now, it hasn't been done in 75 years, and I get that in modern day football, right? But that's what we want to restore. And as I said before, whether it was me or another coach or the next coach, Minnesota needs cultural sustainability. Because to keep in-state talent, to get people to see the vision long-term, to get people to believe that you can go win a national title again, you can be in the college football playoff again, it takes that longevity and that proof to keep in-state kids, to elevate the brand of the program, and to keep things consistent. Every head coach, as you know, comes in with something else. I mean, we came in here with row the boat, and people are like, what? Ski-U-Ma, row the boat? What are we doing? I mean, who is this guy? But I believe tradition is our Ski-U-Mah, but the culture today to connect the past, present, and future is row the boat. And that's what we're doing every single day, is making our culture a little bit better every single day. And that, we define culture as connecting people. That's all we're doing. And if we keep connecting people, keep elevating our culture and keep elevating our brand, and then the on-field play, the off-the-field, guys doing so many amazing things, that's going to help elevate the brand in itself and really make Minnesota a household name.
How'd you come up with row the boat? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, you know, like any good story, it probably starts with some type of tragedy. And, you know, February 9th, 2011, when I was actually at Rutgers, my second son passed away to a heart condition shortly after birth. And back then, if you remember, Greg Schiano had Keep Chopping.
Yep.
And I actually spent multiple days at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which was CHOP Hospital, which is, you talk about irony. Yeah. And I wanted to do something when I became a head football coach that connected a community, it gave people hope. It's basically never give up. And I wanted people to love us. Even if you didn't love football, you could connect with our football program. How are we going to sell out Huntington Bank Stadium? How are we going to elevate the brand of the program? How are we going to make sure that people don't think Minnesota's just 7 head coaches in 15 years? We didn't have necessarily a great reputation when we first got here. So how are we going to change all that? Well, we're going to change it by what we do off the field, what we do as people, right? And we're going to do it with our culture. So that's where Row the Boat came from. I kept it kind of dormant before I became a head coach. And right when I hit being a head coach at Western Michigan, we kind of unveiled it. Yeah. And really, it's its own fund, its own foundation at Masonic Children's Hospital. And it's just a never give up lifestyle, never give up attitude. And it connects so many people. If you come down our tunnel, so many oars from our fans and our community, they paint them and decorate them every year and drop them off at our spring game. And it connects a community and allows people who are going through really difficult times to know that we're rowing with them and we play for them. And it's really a positive, hopefully we're making a positive difference in the community.
I'm glad you mentioned the family aspect, because as I was walking around the facility today, you have a wall that is pictures of each of the position coaches with their families. And my guess is that's intentional, right? So the players see it and see what coach's life is like outside of football. Why was that so important for you?
This is a life program. These guys are going to be husbands, fathers. They're going to have their own children. They need to see us as coaches, as people, right? As husbands, as fathers. And some of them don't have fathers. So I'm not saying we're here to be their dad or to be their father. They all had a dad at some point and have a dad. We're here to be their coach, but we're also here to be maybe a father figure or a dad figure, and to show them what that looks like. So I think they have to see us. I mean, we have 56 children on staff, on our staff. Yeah. It's crazy how many kids we have. And we love when our kids come to practice, our wives come to practice, and our players can see us as genuine people. Yeah. And I think that when they know you as genuine people and not just some coach, I think they're more willing to buy into what you're doing, really listen to you, and take it from there. But Jim Tressel had a great quote: "They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." Yeah. And even pictures of our families mean a lot, I think, to our players, so they can see us in that way.
Yeah. What are the things that you have on your short list of what still needs to happen at this place in order to get to the pinnacle of college football?
I mean, it is a scroll. Yeah. It would just unroll, because I don't even know if we'll ever get to it, but I'm still the head football coach here. But hopefully, as a head football coach, what you want to do is elevate the standard, the brand, and the expectation every year. And I'm not afraid of that. I told Heather when we took the job, my job is to one day when we get fired, we didn't meet the expectation that we created for ourselves. Yeah. When I first got here, it was all about just beat Wisconsin and you're good. And now it's okay. Well, we won 11 games, won back-to-back 9-win seasons. We've won 6 bowl games in a row here with us being here. We're 6-0 in bowl games. We've done all these things. But the next step with the college football playoff, Big Ten championship, we're not afraid to shy. We're not going to shy away from that. We're not afraid to talk about it. And I don't want our players to ever feel like that we can't do that here. Of course we can do that here. Yeah. There's a lot of things that have to happen for that to occur, but of course we want to set that standard and expectation that high. Why wouldn't we? I wouldn't want a head coach who didn't talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. What's the best advice you've received in your coaching career?
Don't sacrifice what you really want down the road for what you want right now. I think that's incredible. That was from Greg Schiano at Rutgers. That was some of the best advice I ever got, because I think that we live in an instant world. We live in a now world. We want everything right now. But to get to maybe what you want down the road, you got to make some sacrifices early. And maybe those sacrifices that you're going to make early won't be good on the external. Keep that internal voice as loud as it can be, quiet down the external voices, and get the people around you to do the exact same thing. And if you do that, you're going to look up one day and you're going to be there. Right? It's just very difficult. It's fighting human nature every single day. And the second piece was from Mike Nolan when he cut me. I was a wide receiver for the 49ers my third year. He cuts me and then offers me a coaching job in the same meeting. So I was cut and then offered a coaching job. And like an idiot, I thought I was such a still just amazing player in my third year. Once I hit the waiver wire, everybody's going to sign me. And lo and behold, nobody did. So I go to take the job, and Jim Tressel calls me and actually offered me a job to be a GA at Ohio State. Never met Jim Tressel, but he talked to his fraternity brother, and you never know who's going to speak up for you. And he hired me sight unseen. But the advice Mike Nolan gave me is you'll never make a bad decision, and you'll never have to have a regret, and you'll never have to have the pain of regret if you're disciplined in the decision making, and you don't skip the proper steps. So his whole point was you'll never make a bad decision as long as you do your homework. And we have a saying here, the pain of discipline versus the pain of regret. You'll never have that regret feeling if you're disciplined, because there's still pain in discipline. It's not, discipline's not for everybody. And if you're willing to have that discipline, you won't ever have that regret, because you'll always make elite decisions, and you'll look at them as learning lessons as well. Even if it wasn't a good decision, the way you look at it, it still taught you so many lessons.
It seems like your time with Greg Schiano made a big impact on your coaching career.
It did.
Just from some of the stories you've been telling.
I'm kind of like his little brother. I'll always be his little brother. But I would not be a head coach without him. The organization, the detail, how to get the most out of your people, demand, not ask, from yourself as well. Now, one thing I respect about Greg is he's tough, but you know what? He expects the same thing out of himself, and I love that. That's what I went to Greg Schiano. Boy, I left the man in the coaching profession. There's no way I would have been ready to be a young head football coach if I didn't work for Greg Schiano. And, I'll always be his little brother, which is fine.
He's awesome. And when I first started doing this podcast and talking to coaches, he was one of my very first interviews. I was surprised he said yes, first of all.
True.
And then we did like an hour-long conversation. And after that, I got a lot more yeses from head coaches. And a lot of them have said, well, if Greg Schiano did your podcast, I figured I'd do it. So I know he has a big impact on a lot of people. What's your why? What's the reason you do what you do when you wake up every day?
Well, I love to impact people's lives. I love that. I always have. Even as a player, I wanted to make sure that I was somewhat of a pleaser. I wanted people to be proud of the performance that I was doing. But I've always loved the teaching aspect. Growing up, my mom was a special education assistant. And my summer job, which I'm not sure if I even still got paid, but my summer job was, answering phones in a special education school. And I saw education at the simplest form. And I had such a appreciation for those students who all had some type of condition where they weren't in a normal school. And I just absolutely loved the process. And I've always loved the process to anything. And I think that's why education, teaching, coaching, was my calling, because I wanted to take people from where they were to where they wanted to be, and because I had people do that for me. My biggest influences in my life are all my coaches and teachers. I could tell you every one of my teachers, I could tell you all my coaches, I could tell you what they all taught me, and I wanted to be that type of influence to somebody else. And now we just have this massive platform as Big Ten coaches. I'm no bigger or greater than any high school coach out there. I just have a bigger platform, and there's a responsibility that comes along with that. But we're all doing the same thing. Some of us just get to be on your podcast, and you interview people like us, and we have a bigger platform. But we're all doing the same thing, and that's impact and influence people's lives.
Coach, last question I got for you. I think you have a team meeting in like 10 minutes here. But when you're done coaching someday, what do you want your players to have said about you?
That's a great question. I don't know what they'll ever say. I hope that they said that he impacted my life outside of football. He taught me more life lessons about being a better husband, about being a better father, about being a better community leader, than he did in football. I hope they say that. I mean, football is what we get paid to win games. So football is what brought us all together. But I like the other stuff even more. Yeah. And I think that's where that makes our program really special. And I hope they all say that. And I'm getting some more and more wedding invitations, so that's good.
That's a good sign, right?
That's a good sign so far. Yeah. Either that or they know that we give really good gifts.
Older too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're getting older. I'm getting older, that's for sure.
No doubt. Well, I appreciate your time, Coach. It's been fun following your career, and I appreciate having us out.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having us out.
Next up.